governments have the option to choose whether or not to use model ordinances listed by CalRecycle. And CalRecycle will determine whether or not an appropriate nonprofit organization has been created by industry, which will include $5 million for grants to local governments to augment their household hazardous waste program. The collection of HHW has been an ongoing problem for the past 15 to 20 years. Now is the time to change the culture of piecemeal approaches and the way we think about finding effective, comprehensive solutions to properly dispose of household hazardous waste. I have always been clear about my perspective on a shared responsibility on the disposal of household hazardous waste products. Like local governments, manufacturers play a vital role in the success of comprehensive solutions to dispose of household hazardous waste as listed in the bill. Members, there are multiple schools of thought on this issue of household hazardous waste, extended producer responsibility, other forms of local government involvement. All ideas have merits that I've heard. However, we are trying to thread the needle, members, on this one. We have not been able to find a solution on this floor for this paltry participation rate. And my staff and I have continued to work this issue. We are bringing industry to the table. For the first time ever in this building, there is actual money from industry on the table to solve this problem. I ask that we pass this bill off the floor so I can continue to work this in the Senate so we can find a solution once and for all for household hazardous waste. I ask for an aye vote.
Ms. Waldron, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I served on a solid waste board in San Diego for 9 years, and I agree with the author that this is an issue that we need to continue to work on. One of the problems, because people trying to get to a location to drop off their household hazardous waste, the inconvenience of it has been the biggest problem. So what happens is someone might go, they may not have an appointment, maybe their driver's license doesn't match the pickup location that they cover. So what do? They end up driving away and dumping it in the field or dumping it in the stream, especially pharmaceuticals, ending up in the waterway. So I think this is an important issue, and we can continue to work on it, and I support the bill, and I urge an aye vote.
Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, members, I must rise in opposition to this bill. I agree that this is a serious issue and it's something we need to continue to work on, but this is not the right way to approach it. Right now already, local jurisdictions have to adopt a hazardous household waste element and submit it to CalRecycle. So when all of our locals are already doing this and already developing their own elements that meet the needs and concerns of their local jurisdictions, why do we need to develop a one-size-fits-all model ordinance that I think ultimately will be used and applied across the board instead of giving locals flexibility in how they deal with this issue? There also isn't a clear path here as to how industry would play a part in this, which we all know the whole burden of household hazardous waste should not fall on local governments and local waste authorities and the taxpayers who support those local governments and waste authorities. There's just not a clear enough path here. I don't think it's been really worked out well enough for us to move this forward, and I would urge your no vote. And I would urge you to also look in and talk to your own local waste authorities and county governments who ultimately, I think, if we take this path, will foot the bill for doing this, and their taxpayers will foot the bill for doing this when they are really not the cause of household hazardous waste and that issue. So I would urge you to be very cautious in how we approach this. I think we can come up with a much more comprehensive and better solution to this issue. Thank you.
Mr. Gomez, you're recognized.
I rise in support of AB 45. The gentleman from Daly City has been working on this bill very hard. He also had a lot of concerns regarding, requiring and forcing local municipalities to adopt this ordinance. This is a permissive ordinance, and it allows him to continue moving the bill forward to continue the discussion. So we've discussed the question, should it be a may or should it be a shall, and we chose that it should be a may. So this is that's why you're not seeing folks in opposition to this bill as it stands because they know that it's still a work in progress. We want to make sure that they have an opportunity to see if there can be an agreement on this and hopefully in the end really take care of a problem, because right now the rates of recycling the hazardous waste is not very high. So I commend the author, and I hope you guys vote aye for the bill. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Mr. Mullen, you may close.
Thank you, members, for the discussion, and thank you to all of the interests who've been participating in an ongoing conversation, a conversation I hope that we will continue in the Senate. This is not a one-size-fits-all, members. County options still exist. We would encourage members to look at this model ordinance through CalRecycle and their oversight. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
This time, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 47, noes 18. Measure passes. Colleagues, we're going to